I'll request Mr. Aman Rajabali to give a brief about NHRD initiatives and then introduce our respective speakers for the day.
जो हुकुम मालकिन, नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल, welcome everybody, those people whom I have not been able to greet individually, आप सभी लोगों को स्वागत है. This is a special day for us on a special Saturday because हम बहुत कुछ करने वाले हैं and design thinking has been on our mind for quite some time. We've been in conversation with Ajay and his team, and finally the day has come. So thank you so much. A couple of things for people who do not know about National HRD Network. Just thought that we'll take a few minutes to share as to what we do. As you see on the screen, these are a few of the initiatives that we have undertaken and will be undertaking. Out of this, the dark blue that you see is Samaveshan 2023. This is our national conference on DEIB, diversity, inclusivity, belongingness के ऊपर है. This is going to happen on the 7th of October. You will receive the intimation. Please do register, do join us. This is going to be a very, very unique session and hoga. A couple of other things that, we have also started a virtual PWD job drive, and happy to share that we've got about 65 open positions already, and the team is working on it, interacting with various organizations who have offered to support us in this activity. Sensitization workshops, if you are interested, we can do that for your organization, for your team. Okay, you may get in touch with us. Arundhati hai, main hu, Dipen hai. This is another interesting initiative that we have in collaboration with Mum Smile or 1MWLC to create help 1 million women leaders. And we've also got ourselves registered with the Asia Book of Records for a skipping rope challenge that we did a couple of months ago. So ऐसी सब चीजें हम करते रहते हैं, कुछ नया किया जाए जहाँ पे impact हो. We are also getting into the college level, to activate the students there, the girl students more importantly, to help them understand their potential, make them corporate ready, and leadership generate hope. ये है plus, between the lines, as you are aware of, in association with Upohan Management, Advait Kurlekar and Eklavya Malhotra. If most of you have attended, you will know this is an ongoing series that we do. A People Point, if you've not had a chance, ये भी हम करते हैं. This is a interview series that is led by Nina Kamal, who's based in the UK, and she interviews people with unique topics. Okay, तो ये भी शुरू है. Along with Ajay Aggarwal, who's our lead faculty today, and his organization, we are planning to organize design thinking workshop. तो वो भी है. Hackathon होने वाला है with IMDR. You are aware of the oldest institute of Pune. उनके साथ में हम कर रहे हैं couple of other things. And on the social front, like you saw the video of I Gift Life on organ donation, we are also working very closely with this organization. They have a initiative called Vriddha Mitra, where we are planning to create age-friendly ecosystem for the elderly people. So ये भी एक कुछ अलग कर रहे हैं. Recently, we had a conversation with an organization called Rescue. They work for rehabilitation of animals, and currently they have about 250 distressed wild animals in collaboration with the government, Maharashtra government and the forest department. So उनके लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं as the corporate sector. तो ये बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें हैं जो हम कर रहे हैं. Anything and everything that can have an impact on people and the society at large, we keep that in mind, and हमारे जो initiatives हैं वो हम इस प्रकार से करते हैं. Coming back to today, design thinking. Now, अरुंधति प्लीज शेयर करना बंद कीजिए ना. हाँ. Now coming back to design thinking today. Design thinking is one of the most and critical aspects, but unfortunately, not many of us know the importance of it and how it can help us in our day-to-day functions as well as impact our ROI in organizations. Okay, and Ajay Aggarwal and his team are the experts in this, and we are fortunate to have a collaboration with them. छोटा सा उनके बारे में इंट्रोडक्शन पढ़ूंगा. I will have to read this because I tried remembering उनका और उन्मेष का, मगर memory इतनी strong नहीं है. So I will read this. Okay. Ajay is the managing partner of Humane Design and Innovation Consulting LLP. Before starting HDI, Ajay founded the design thinking and innovation practice at KPMG. He has over 18 years of industry experience in BFSI, manufacturing, FMCG, IT consulting, etc. Okay. Professional career spanning across roles in advisory, product and service design, process automation, and more. He is sales and business development and training also. He has been ardently supporting the development of a design driven culture within organizations and assisting them in redesigning their customer experience, services, products, and strategy. He has demonstrated the practical benefits of design thinking across all business functions in his capacity as an advisor to several important customers. He has coached more than 4,000 design thinking professionals and 100 plus innovation initiatives. Mind blowing, Ajay. Wow, superb. Now we have a special guest, Mr. Unmesh Pawar. Okay, thank you so much, Unmesh. He is the Chief People Officer at Dentsu, South Asia, global HR leader, investor, mentor, and an advisor. Unmesh is a highly sought after leader with more than 25 years of international expertise in creating high performance leadership teams. Throughout his career, Unmesh has excelled at managing huge, complicated organizations culture. Wow, superb. As the Chief People Officer for Dentsu South Asia, he is responsible for building distinctive talent expertise across the Indian and South Asia markets, overseeing all aspects of talent strategy while assisting Dentsu leadership in shaping the culture journey to retain and attract best in class talent. Moreover, he is also a technology enthusiast who uses his extensive business and commercial skills to advise real stage organizations and startup on strategy and people agenda. इतना सब कैसे कर लेते हो उमेश भाई? Before Dentsu, he was the CHRO for KPMG's entities in India, responsible for leading KPMG in India's people, performance, and culture. In his role, he led the journey of building differentiated capabilities in the marketplace by designing and deploying innovative talent management practice. Superb. Over this, Unmesh has spent 17 years with Accenture, where he served as the global managing director of human resources for Products Operating Group. इससे ज्यादा और भी है, but I will shorten this. Thank you so much, Umesh, for joining, and आपका स्वागत है.
Thank you for having me.
We are delighted to have you here as our special guest. Ajay, आप तो हमारे पार्टनर हैं, आपका फिर भी स्वागत है. And your entire team, we have much gratitude for all that we are working, and we look forward to much more collaboration together in spreading the design thinking concepts. Okay. Happy learning, all of you. Thank you so much. I won't take much of your time. बस हो गया अभी. Over to you, Ajay.
Thank you so much, Amanji, and thank you so much, Unmesh, once again for making it to the session today. Just to quickly share my screen and we will begin. Before we begin, just let's quickly see who all are here and if you guys are right now listening. So we will begin from Arundhati itself, and all of you can share what you're feeling right now in terms of emotions through the emoji on the chat. Okay. Let's see. So 91982, good morning. Vidu, good morning. 990795. Sorry, you have numbers written, so I have to pronounce you by numbers. I hate doing that, but yes. Good morning, Abhishek. Good morning, Aditi. Good morning, Advait. Good morning, Amit. Good morning, Aman. Good morning, Amna. Good morning, Anshuman. Good morning, An Anushradha. Good morning. Uh, okay. These are Apna. Good morning, Basu. Good morning, Chaitali. Good morning, Chan. Good morning, Deepika. Good morning, Ashish. Good morning, Pradeep. Good morning, Garima. Good morning, Gunjan. And good morning, Jigar. Good morning, Manjari, and many, many, many more good mornings. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the session today. Quickly, if I can just see your emotions right now, what you're feeling. I see some lovely emotions coming up on the chat. So we have some happy faces. Yes, good. So keep them coming, guys. Let's begin with the session today. Um, Welcome to your design thinking session. And design thinking is all about humanizing businesses, and HR is also all about humanizing businesses. So we will understand, we will also learn, we will also hear some stories about how design thinking really has been contributing to the HR agenda or the human agenda of organizations. Also, by the end of it, we will, once we have gone through the understanding of design thinking a bit, I'm sure you have some, but yes, I'll try and build on to it to the extent possible. We will also have Unmesh sharing with us uh, an implementer's point of view, because Unmesh has been has implemented design thinking practices in HR in various of his previous organizations, as well as might be at Dentsu as well. So we will also have Unmesh talking to us about his experiences of practically when he has taken design thinking to the organization and implementing it as a part of the HR agenda. How has his learnings been, and how have his practical experiences been to help us? Okay, just to begin quickly, setting up the agenda for the day. Three key things that we're going to look at: understand design. That is the first thing, because I firmly believe that a lot of us think of designs in very different ways. So we will understand design. We will have a common understanding of what is design. Second, we're going to look at what is design thinking. And third, we're going to experience design thinking. So we're going to solve a life problem here itself in the next 45 to 60 minutes. So be ready. You're going to work along with me to solve a real problem so that we can experience it also. And for that, we're also going to learn 4 tools. So let's begin. Just a disclaimer, session is fast-paced by design. So you're going to have everything time box. So quickly respond and participate along with me. If you miss the bus, you will keep missing it. So remember, tighten your seatbelts to experience the power of design thinking that we're going to have. My first question to you. Okay, let's see. As I said, you need to be attentive and you need to participate along with me. My first question to you, what according to you is design? And again, there is no set definition that I'm looking out for. Whatever is your understanding, happy to kind of look at it. Diverse. That's what Manish says. Dimple says scheme of things. Okay. Aesthetics, creative. That's what Deepika says. Good one, creative. Something that we create, ideas. Oh, superb. Something innovative, process, blueprint. Sonali says creation of new ideas. Salisa says unstability. Okay. Usability. Yes. Then we have visible plan, a structure, concept. Super creative approach to your solutions. Great working model, framework, step by step process, effective plan. Amazing, guys. Lovely to see your ideas and your thoughts. As I said, there's no right or wrong. Good one. You have your point of views. That's really important. Skeleton. Good one, Anshuman. Jan says propose creative way to achieve goal. Good one, guys. I might not have been able to read everyone's thoughts, but yes, individual to person, thoughts that we can put in a plan and further to execution. Good one. Okay, I'll ask you some more questions before I go to make you understand what is design. Yes, is this design? Let's see what you see in your screen. Is this design? Oh yeah, Deepika says, yes, this is design. Yes, a lot of you say this is design. Yes, this is design. Execution. Yes, this is design, but a bad design. Yes, but this is design. If your train of thoughts is going somewhere else, switch tracks. That's what it is. Good. Is this design? Let's see this one. Let's see how do you kind of look at this one. Is this one design? No. Anshuman says no. Okay. Yes. 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 Yes, 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 yes. Oh, a lot of yeses. Yes, this is also design, but yes, again, a bad design, because to reach your room, you need to talk to Google, because there is no 317 in the signage that you are getting here. Good. The message that I want to give you is design is all around us. Everything that we have around us is design. The interview process that you have put, the policies that you have put, the training rooms that you are, the entire training delivery that you are doing, the processing of salaries, whatever roles and whatever things that you do in the organization, everything is designed around us, right? But good design needs design thinking, and that's why it's um, it's it's necessary to learn design thinking in a more structured way and understand how do you apply it to, yes, Chetali, organization design. How do you apply it to your functions, your day-to-day life, and embrace it as its principles to add value to human lives. Now, traditionally, most of us associate to design with respect to aesthetics, and in fact, some of you definitely did answer that as well, that aesthetics and creative. So most of us associate to design as aesthetics. Just imagine, so Chaitali and Anusharda, you're walking on a street, you're great friends, you're walking on a street, and there's a shop there. On the window of the shop, there's a skirt that is hung there, and Chaitali, you say to Anusharda that, oh, Anu, this is a great shirt, this is a great skirt, it's a great design. Why? Because traditionally we relate to design as how something looks and feels. But design is necessarily not that alone. From today onwards, for all of us, design is face. Let's understand it this way. Or you can remember it this way. हर design का एक चेहरा होता है. Every design has a face. 4 aspects: functional, aesthetic, commercial, emotional. That means if your design needs to help the user or help the human who's going to use it, whom you're designing for, to ease out some of his functional tasks or some of his functional goals. Aesthetics definitely look and feel. I'll take an example on and explain, but just first understand the overall concept. Aesthetics, they look and feel. It should appeal to my eyes. It should appeal to the generation that's going to use it. So there. Commercial, it should fit into my user's pocket. That means not too expensive and not too cheap as well, because we don't. Why do I say not too cheap? Because most of the people do not like affiliating themselves with cheap. So fit into the user's pocket. And fourth is emotional, which means what is the emotional experience that your user is getting. It can be great emotions, it can be tough emotions, depending on the kind of agenda that you're driving. So remember, design for all of you. And why do I say face? Because humans have 4 kinds of needs. Just take it this way. There are functional needs, there are aesthetic needs, there are commercial needs, and there are emotional needs. So whenever you're designing anything from now on, be it a process, be it a policy, be it a learning experience, be it maybe an exit experience, be it interviews, anything that you're designing, look at it from 4 angles: functional needs, aesthetic needs, commercial needs, emotional needs. Figure those out and then design your solution around it. Just to take an example on this. Okay, we'll take the example of, say, an interview experience. Okay, I'm sure all of you would have done hundreds of interviews till now. Let's try and see phase of an interview. Any thoughts on functionality? What are the functional elements of an interview experience? Any thoughts? Just on the chat. Let's see if you can apply something here and bring out functional elements of an interview experience. Construct of the interview, image. Yes, anything else? Anshuman says image, panel members. Okay. More, think about it more. Select the right candidate. Okay. What else? Getting right candidate, process, questions to be asked, perception, subject experts, basic logistics. Yes, psychological safety. Good one. Let's try and see. I'm just giving you some thoughts. There might be more, and I'm amazed to see the responses that I'm getting here. Just to tell you, finding the office is easy. Finding the interview room, availability of the right information, smooth exchange of information, questions. All of these are functional elements of an interview experience. Aesthetics. Any thoughts on aesthetics of an interview experience? Where is it? Where it is held? Dress code. Good. So let's see. Room ambience, cleanliness and hygiene. Where is it held? Dress code. All of these are aesthetics. Commercial. Yes. How is it conducted? Location. Good one, Surya. Commercial. Let's see. Cost of the interview. Deepika says this. Good. How much is it costing the organization? How much is it costing the interviewee? Yes. So cost to the company, cost to the candidate. taking care of that how much and where do we want people to spend and how do we want to spend. So the overall commercial value proposition. And the last one is emotional. Any thoughts on emotional? Deep understanding of candidate's thought process, safety, experience of interviewee, alignment of values, memorable experience. Good one. Think more how the candidate is being treated, satisfaction in the process, experience of candidate. Good. So greetings, interview journey, formal and informal, relaxed, stressed. What kind of emotions do you want the candidate to go through so that you can or the interviewer can judge or the interviewer can figure out whether the person is the right fit. You might have tough emotions. It's not only always happy emotions, but about tough emotions as well, so that you can understand whether the person will be able to perform in tougher situations. So it's about crafting an entire emotional journey with the candidate or the entire candidate that the candidate goes through right from the time um, he is preparing for the interview and interview happens and he's exiting. So think about it. It's about these four kinds of human needs. So whenever you're designing the next interview experience or anything they're designing, think about face: functional, aesthetic, commercial, emotional. And if you're able to understand these four needs of your user group, you will be crafting great designs. Good. So we understand face, we will use it later on. But let's now move forward to the second part, which is, what if this is what design is, what is design thinking, if you can tell me? Let's see. So now we must be thinking that whatever we had in mind, we've already told you in during design. Now, what is design thinking? Any thoughts? What is design thinking? Thinking creatively to arrive at a solution, plotting the journey or the experience, to organize in a more systematic manner, accumulation, strategies, the approach to achieve phase. Good one. Live application. Chayan says from concept, okay, mindset to problem solving, keeping face while designing. That's what Dimple says. Jayashree says initiative. Okay, relooking at the current process, a framework to ask questions and arrive at a solution, keeping goals in mind, user experience, defining purpose, process, and payoff. Good one. I think interesting thoughts, guys. Let's understand. And again, I'm not giving you any textbook definition. The thing that I'm going to talk to you about is how have I lived design, okay, and how am I living design in my life till now, right? And across domains, across businesses, across industries, how have I been living design? So design for me is nothing but a human-centered approach to finding problems and solving them with continuous experimentation. Now, three things that I want to highlight in this. It's a structured approach. Three things, and I'm refraining from calling it a process, because design for me is first a mindset, then an approach, a structured approach, and then comes a culture, which we will maybe at some later date we will cover that whenever there's more time. But let's focus on what is design thinking. A structured approach, a human-centered approach to finding problems and solving them with continuous experimentation. The first one, human-centered. Remember, there are various ways to look at problems. There might be a data-centered way, there might be a product-centered way, there might be a tech-centered way, and there can be other ways as well. Design thinking focuses on human-centered, which means before we even try and do anything about something, we will first understand that who's going to use it, what are they facing today, what is their story, and basis that we will try and design or do something about it. Human centered. So we will put the human who's going to use it or who's going to experience at the center. Then the second part that I want to kind of talk about is finding problems. So design thinking is not a problem solving approach. Let me tell you this. Design thinking is a problem finding approach, which means you are on the floor observing your employees and figuring out that this employee is facing a problem with this particular thing continuously. And I've been seeing him day in, day out go through this. While he might not be telling me this, but I see this happening on a day-to-day basis. That means there's a problem. This is about finding problems. So design thinkers do not wait for people to come and tell them there's a problem. We ourselves are on the street, on the floor, figuring out what are users going through or what are employees going through, bringing them back as insights and saying that this is something that, and I'm sure we'll be having a lot of stories also that we want to share, but bringing them back and saying that this is something that is really jarring the organization. Can we do something about it? Can we solve it? And that's where the third part of it comes in, which is continuous experimentation. Continuous experimentation, again, really important, because I've seen a lot of design thinkers struggle with this, or maybe a lot of people also struggle with this, that we try to be right the first time. In design, there's nothing known as being first time right. Okay. You will have to go through experiments, you will fail. But the approach is that let's try fast, let's fail fast, and let's succeed sooner. That is how we will go. So it's going to be iterations. There are going to be a lot of failures that you're going to experience, and only then you will hit success, right? So design thinking, again, a human-centered approach to finding problems and solving them through continuous experimentation. This is what design thinking for me is. Now, is there a method to the madness? Yes, there is a method to the madness, because when we need to scale this within the organization, when we need to scale this within the HR group of an organization as well, right? They will need a common language. And that's what this common language is. Explore, ideate, create, evolve. I'm not going to touch upon it in great detail because we're going to experience it right after this. But just to touch upon what does this mean? Explore is all about finding problems and figuring out what those humans are going through. Ideate is about figuring out solutions or finding answers to those questions that we have figured out. Create is about prototyping those solutions, testing it out with users, and defining your MVPs, which is a minimum viable product. And from there, evolve is all about building your business case, building up the ROI framework, and then crafting stories around it to seek funding and to also take your solution, or maybe implement your solution with the user group that you're really wanting to benefit from the solution that you have looked at. So remember, explore, ideate, create, evolve. And what I've also shown you is it is not a linear journey. It is an iterative and a messy journey. So that's what we are going to go through right now, right after this. So we're going to come back to this at the end of the session that we do. So right after this, why is it so necessary for HR today? Let's also understand that. Design thinking is being used in a lot of spaces today, but why do I personally feel it's greatly applicable to HR? I feel, and I just written this on a post as well that I had put in on LinkedIn a few days back, that design thinking puts humans in the center. HR is all about humans, right? If we combine the HR agenda with the approach of design thinking, it's going to create magic. Because from now in modern day HRs are not about, or it's not about being a process owner or being a owner of the human agenda or the HR agenda. HRs are now the experience architects, designing experiences for the people who are working with the organization, for the organization, and so that those people can deliver excellent experience to the customers of the organization. So that's the change that is happening. That means there's a change that needs to happen in the HR skill set and the HR approach towards looking at employee experience and how are you designing that. So from here on, we are just getting into the experiment now. Let's get into action. So I'm sure all of you are set to solve a real life problem or a real problem here. Before we begin the problem and I introduce it, meet Emily. Okay, meet Emily and just try and embrace and embody Emily, who she is. An IT engineer from the US, a single mother. As part of her work and work requirement, she's shifting her base to India and joining the same organization. That's who Emily is. Okay. All of you clear with who Emily is? So just take 30 seconds and embody Emily and just try and understand who Emily is and what she is going through and what is the situation right now. Great. Just think about it. She's working in the US for your organization itself. She's shifting to India as a part of a work requirement, and she's going to handle a critical role here. You being the HR leader of India, that's something that you're going to receive from there. Now, the problem that we're going to work on today is how might we design an onboarding experience for Emily when she shifts to India? That's the problem statement that we are working on. All clear with what the problem statement is? Give me a yes or no. Yes, great. So she's shifting to India. She's going to join your group and your organization here, part of the same organization, but I'm sure India is a very different territory and a very different journey for her. That's what it's all about. Great, good. So before we look at jumping on to, I'm sure you're already having solutions in mind, but just wait, guys. Just wait. We will take a step back. Remember what I said. human-centered approach to finding problems. Let's go step by step. The first thing that we are going to do is, before we get into solutionizing anything or looking at any ideas that we can have for the onboarding experience, the first thing we will get into is empathizing with Emily, trying and understanding when she is shifting to India, being an IT engineer and a single mother, what is that she might be going through. But before we go there and we do the activity, a question for all of you. The question is, empathy equals to requirements gathering. True or false? I'm sure you all love true and false questions right from your childhood days. Let's see. How do you see it? True or false? True, 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 true. Sonal says false. A lot of true, 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 false. Salis says false. Ritesh says false. Jigar says false, false, false. True, false, false. Deepika says false. Okay. Renu says true. Pradeep says false. Good. For people who said true, superb guys. But you're wrong. Sorry. Empathy is not equals to requirements gathering. Okay, and let me tell you why. Okay, so the answer to this is false, and I'll give you the right equation as well. Um, now, typically when we do requirements gathering, okay, the mindset that we have is, or the mindset that we go with. So typically, if I want to do requirements gathering, say with Dimple, so I'll go to Dimple and say, Dimple, okay, what are your challenges? Please tell me. What are your requirements? Please tell me. And Dimple will start telling me something, and I will start making notes of it. I'll go back, I'll design something, and then I'll go back to Dimple saying that, Dimple, you told me all these requirements and I've designed this. And Dimple says, no, no, this is what I never wanted. What have you designed? I don't know, where did you get these requirements from? And it's no one's problem. Neither Dimple is wrong, neither am I wrong. You told me I have taken those requirements and I have done it. The mistake is, or the problem is, with the assumption that I made, which was about that Dimple understands her requirements or understands the problem. 99% of the cases today in this complex world, our users also do not understand their problems. They do not understand what they're going through. They know there's something wrong, but what is wrong, they don't understand. Now they will blabber something, you come with those notes and you design something, that's where it goes wrong. So empathy truly is about, so what do the users expect from you? They expect that, Ajay, you're wanting to do requirements gathering, but if you can first help me only, so they might not tell you this, but within them they are going through this, that if you can help me only to first understand what I'm going through and then get into any kind of requirement gathering, that's what that would be a great way. So the right equation for empathy is empathy equals to requirement exploration, wherein you have conversations, open-ended conversations, and there's an approach to it, but you have open-ended conversations with your user group, trying and first helping them only explore their entire problem and what they're going through, and then coming down to any kind of requirement gathering. So, and for this we learn a tool as well, but I'll tell you a story around empathy first, and then we will get into a tool, and then we will do the activity for Emily as well. For this, I'm sure I can't see most of you because I think you've put your cameras off. For this story, to experience this story, if you can, all of you can hold your hands like this, and don't cheat, guys. Wherever you are, if you can see me, just hold your hands like this and close your eyes. Imagine something between your hands. Okay, open your eyes and relax. Open your eyes and relax. Yes. Let's hear, what did you do? What did you imagine? If it is shareable, let's hear, what did you imagine? So on the chat, if you can just put through ball, books,
A, a ball of energy.
a ball of energy. Good. Yes. Let's see. Earth, uh, puppy, chai. Okay. Teddy bear. Then air. Anshuman is imagining air. Good. Globe. Holding a golden snitch. Good. Book. A thing between trying to expand while I compress. Okay. Done. Good. Dimple says air. Amazing. Pillow. Good. So I think Kalol is feeling sleepy right now, also having a pillow between his hands. Good one. But amazing, guys. Now, what if I tell you that you have this baby between your hands? And what if I tell you that this baby is going to die soon? Yes, I can really completely understand what is that you are going through right now. But there are over 4 million babies that die every year in countries like India, Nepal, Bangladesh, these kind of countries. And they die because they are premature babies and they do not have the minimum mass in their body to sustain the minimum body temperature, and they die. This was the problem given to 7 Stanford graduates to solve. Design an incubator which is $200 and less. So think of it. If suppose you were given this problem, how would you solve it? Designing an incubator which is 200. All of you understand incubators, right? Yes. For people who do not understand incubators, these are how incubators look like. Today, the incubators cost $20,000. They were told to design an incubator which is $200 and less. If you were given this problem, how would you solve it? Think about it. Yes. An engineer's approach to this would be dismantle the incubator, right? Try and figure out where can we optimize on the parts and the kind of costs that those parts are sourced from, and then reassemble it. But they were designers. They were design thinkers. They were human centered. They said, before even we touch this machine, we are going to go to the users, we are going to go to the mothers, we are going to live with them and try and understand what they're going through, what their stories are, what their children are going through. So they traveled to India, Nepal, Bangladesh, visited these places which were tier 2 towns and villages to figure out why these babies were dying, what these mothers are going through. They in fact stayed with them for 2 weeks there to live their story. What they interestingly figured out, the hypothesis was that you make it affordable. The hypothesis was affordability. You make it affordable, people, it becomes more accessible, people will use it, less babies will die. But what they saw there was that people who were actually rich and they could afford this treatment, even their babies were dying. That means the problem was something different. And that's where things started changing. What they saw was that most of these incubators are installed in the cities, in hospitals. Most of these babies are in the villages, and these babies die in transit when these babies are being transported from the village to the hospitals in the city. Think about it. Now, whatever we design, if it is still installed in the cities, even if it is $200 and less, will the problem be solved? No. So the problem became of reach. That means these incubators or whatever we are designing has to reach to these villages rather than the babies reaching to these incubators. In the end, what did they end up designing was this. Okay. Now, let me explain this to you. So what you see here is a baby bag, is a bag where they put in the baby. There's a plate that supports the baby warmer from the behind. And this is a wax type material that once heated keeps the baby warmer warm for 3 to 4 hours. Think about it. Let's go back to the problem. Can this reach to the villages? The answer is yes. In fact, that's one of the biggest use cases that it is being used for, which is it's being used in transit. Most of these mothers, they hold these babies in this baby warmer and they are being transported. Does this run off electricity? Because electricity in the villages of India is a big problem. Does it run off electricity? It runs on a wax type material. And cost $200 and less. Any guesses on what is being sold at today? Guess? Or put on the chat. $30, $10, 4,000 rupees is what I'm assuming. $100, Jen says $100, $25, guys. This is today a for-profit social enterprise headquartered in Bangalore named as Embrace, selling over 4 million baby warmers every year. The message that I want to leave with you, the first message that I want to leave with you is empathy brings in a shift in perspective from designing products, services, or processes to designing human experiences. And that's the business that you guys are in, designing human experiences. It's not about solving a problem. It's about finding the right problem and then solving it. Okay, so let's go back. The approach that we use for empathy. So we do not practice emotional empathy when it comes to design thinking. We practice cognitive empathy, which is focus-driven empathy. That's what we're going to experience. So the approach is OEI: observe, engage, immerse. That's the approach that we're going to look at when we experience or when we practice empathy, or the approach that we use when we are empathizing with our users. Here, we do not go and ask our users, what is your problem? We rather want to understand from them their journey, their story, live with them. And from there, we will figure out, even if they're not telling us what their problem is, we will figure out what are their pains and then design on that. right? Now let's go back to Emily. You remember Emily, right? Hopefully you're not forgotten Emily. Let's go back to Emily. Let's empathize with Emily. And on the chat, from the just from the embodiment of Emily that you have done, let's list down her needs: functional, aesthetic, commercial, emotional. What are her needs when she is being a single mother and IT engineer, shifting to India for her role requirement, uh, and the onboarding experience? What are her functional, aesthetic, commercial, emotional needs? On the chat, let's see. A good daycare center. That's a solution, Shaheen. Again, this is another mistake that we make. A lot of times when we list down needs, we're not listing down needs. We are listing down solutions to those needs. Put down the needs. Why does she need a good daycare center? Daycare center might be just one of the way of managing that need. Understanding of the environment. Good. Think about what are her needs. Do not come with solutions to those needs. So understanding mental support. Good. Home in which area, relocation help, child care, child education, to be at work, house close to office, cultural support, availability of visa, home, okay, fine, good. So travel arrangements, a place to stay, perhaps in a safe locality, cultural understanding, good one, Amit. Location, accommodation, good needs, work-life balance, safe accommodation, a good mobility experience, flexi working model, safety for herself and her child. Good, amazing. Good thoughts, guys. Keep them coming. So understand the first stage of it is empathize, and that's what Explore is all about. By now, we have figured out the needs of the user or what the user is going through. Diversity. Good. The next stage that we're going to get to is ideate, which is about now figuring out answers. I'm sure all of you have got day-to-day difference of life in US and in good one, good, amazing. Now, the next stage is ideate. How do we find solutions to these ideas? So before that, I have a question. As I said, I'll have some questions for each. Where do you get the best ideas in your day? And you can be as honest as possible. In your entire day, where do you get the best ideas? Washroom, while working, bathroom, during me time, Google, before sleep, early morning, um, sleep, meditation, during journey, I get while driving, early morning with Ajay. Okay, good morning, while returning home, chatting with friends and family, when relaxing. Amazing. Good part is none of you said, and there's an interesting thing, none of you said while being in office and working. Interesting thought, guys. Think about it. Why do you don't get your best ideas while in office working? Think about it. And if you don't get as HR, if you don't get your best ideas in office while working, then how do you expect your employees or people who are working in the organization to do? That means there's some problem with the culture. That means there's some problem with the work environment. Keep thinking about it. Okay. I don't want to, I just wanted to poke this into you. Think about it and keep thinking that how do you design something for this also? Yes, I understand. Brain to focus on outcomes, less on ideas and innovation, but still it's harming the business to an extent. Good. So with this we come to the second story. Now this story is of a company known as Zappos. Okay. Now Zappos was a shoe e-tailer, e-commerce company, shoe e-tailer, known, and their value proposition was customer delight. Known for their customer delight. For them, customer delight was something that was non-negotiable. Now, suddenly, suddenly a lot of complaints. So this happened in one of their contact centers. I'm sure you all understand contact centers. Suddenly a lot of complaints start coming in into their contact center. And so this was challenging because think of a company whose claim to fame is customer delight, and there are complaints that are coming about the service that people are receiving. Think of what the company would be going through because of this. Yes, they did their empathy study. They did empathy studies to understand what is the problem and why is this happening. An interesting thing that came out that most of these people whose call ratings were getting bad ratings or their experience was dropping. The insight or the problem that they figured out was that most of these people never aligned with the culture of Zappos, which was about customer delight. And this is what they figured out. So for them, the problem was that how do we align people to the culture of the organization and make them work towards customer delight rather than anything else. Now, interesting thing. Um, You might have heard of a lot of stories around we pay people to retain. This story, they said pay people to quit, and that was the offer. So, two things that they did. Number one, they said they redesigned their entire onboarding experience for the new hires. And the second part of it was the offer, which was about you join the organization as a new hire, you join the organization, and here's the offer. Okay. We will make you go through the onboarding experience as a part of a 4-week journey now. Every week, we're going to make you experience a part of the culture of the organization, and you have the offer. Week 1, you say, I want to leave. We'll pay you $1,000 as bonus apart from your salary. Week 2, $2,000. Week 3, $3,000. Week 4, $4,000. In fact, this organization has now been taken over by Amazon, and Amazon is now offering $10,000 as well. Okay, think about it. Pay people to quit the offer. What do you think happened? Everyone quitted and went? No. Only 2 to 3% of the people accepted the offer. And the rest of them who stayed back were the people who really aligned with the culture of the organization, and the scores again started improving. Customer delight again started happening. Yes, they did other things as well, but I just felt this was one amazing as a story that can help you to understand that how this message works, which is the culture of experimentation starts with trusting your most radical ideas. They can become the best experiments that you could have ever made sometimes. So think about it, guys. Next time a team member, so just imagine you guys are CHROs at your company, right? Or HR managers at your company. Your team member comes to you with this idea, saying that we'll pay people to quit. We'll give them bonuses when they're joining. We'll give them bonuses of quitting $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. The first thing you will say, oh, get lost. What are you talking? This is not even feasible. This is not even possible. But next time someone comes to you with a radical idea, stay back. Take a step back and say that I understand this is a radical idea, but we can try. We can try. Let's try. Let's prototype it. So that's the way, because that's how you will build the culture of experimentation and innovation within the teams and within the organization. That's how you'll be able to craft new experiences for the employees to help the organization come out with business outcomes and better results. Now, let's go back. The tool that we're going to learn for this, for everything I said, we will learn a tool. The tool that we're going to learn for ideation is something that I also call as the tool of possibilities. What if? The tool of possibilities. And for this, we'll do a small experiment. Dimple, you always wanted, it was a dream, okay? You always wanted to open up a restaurant. That was a dream. And today you met Rohit. Okay. Rohit has agreed. Rohit, are you there? Rohit Pandey. Okay, he's not there. So
Yes,
investor. Oh, here. Okay, done. So today Rohit has agreed to pay you 5 crores as an investment. Okay, to open up the restaurant. Clear? This is the situation. So now, not only Dimple, but everyone can also help. On the chat, if you can just tell me, what are the rules of starting a restaurant business? What would you need to start up a restaurant business? On the chat, let's see. On the chat, everyone can chat. Everyone can put on the chat. Anshuman, you can also market study, customer centric, good place, location, understand the demand, raw material, requirement gathering analysis. Okay, that's someone. Penal is a process person, I think. Trust between the core team, profit sharing, unique idea, people, understanding customer requirements, what kind of food, target customer, good chef, staff, ambience, furniture, yes, licenses and registration, location, good. Amazing, guys. Okay, so let's pick up the last one that Aman has mentioned, right now, location. So let's pick that. Okay, now we will disrupt this rule right away in front of you. The question is, I'm just putting, there are so many rules that you mentioned. I'm just picking up one of the rules, which is you said a restaurant business has to run with a location and an amazing location. I'm asking a what if to that. What if a restaurant has to run without a location? How can that be possible? What is the new rule? A restaurant running without a location.
Okay.
Cloud kitchen, good. What else? Think about it. Delivery, good. Food trucks, free parcel service, Swiggy, yes. Home kitchen, good. Dabbawalas can be another one. Home cooks, supply cooks only. We will send cooks to you. Good. A YouTube channel, a DIY kit to kind of make your own food, online services. Amazing, guys. Think about it. I just asked one what if to one of the rules that you mentioned right now, and we could come out with at least 8 to 10 options, is what you mentioned there. If you ask a what if to each of the rules that you mentioned of starting a restaurant business, think about how many different ways we are food. That's a good one, Mitra. Okay. Uh, okay. But that for that you will need to have digital hunger, Basu. Okay. So if you ask a what if to each of the rules, there are so many different permutation combinations of starting up a restaurant business without or disruptive ways of doing a restaurant business. So remember, let's go back to Emily. I'm sure you've not forgotten Emily. Let's go back to her. Now, what we need to now do is think you figured out certain needs in the previous juncture. Now let's look out for the solutions that you can offer to Emily. Now let's see what daycare and multiple things that you mentioned. I'm happy to look at all of those. What solutions can you offer? Minal says work from home. Good. What else? Think about it. Look at various needs that she has. What solutions can you offer? Baby care room at office, cultural guidelines. Good one, Amit. Yes. What else? Nanny for her daughter. Local guidelines. Make her shift into your home for some time. Make her experience the culture of India. Okay, good. Accommodation, proper housing. Then what else? What else? Think about it, guys. Provide her a buddy who has worked in the US and understands your thought process. Good. Entertainment. Amazing. That was a good idea that I think Celissa mentioned. Good. Hybrid model work. Yes. Crash. Hybrid working. Provide a car to commute. Pre-read for India before she joins in. Good things to look out for. Maybe excite her with some messages around what to look out for in Indian office, what to look out for in Indian culture, and maybe how to learn the Indian culture. Schools near the office, psychological safety, full-time maid for her day-to-day chores. Good one, guys. So second stage, which is ideate. Think of solutions that can help, that can deliver to the needs that you figured out in the previous juncture of your journey of explore. Now, moving forward. The third stage that we will get into is create, which is all about prototyping and testing and figuring out your MVP. Now, the question is, what according to you is a prototype? Let me ask you this quickly. Test model, initial model, trial, test solution, sample, empirical version, image, basic design, workable model for testing. Yes, anything else? Pilot design, beta model, iteration, a design test model, putting your ideas into action, replica. A good one. So you will hear a lot of jargons in the industry. You will hear MVP, you will hear POC. MVP is minimum viable product. POC is proof of concept, working models, and all these things. Yes, they are prototypes, but they are evolved form of prototypes. In design, because we are working to create something new, and there's no reference model that we have or reference that we have. In design, prototyping is three things, three principles that you need to understand. Number one, anything that can give a near to real feel to my user for them to interact and give feedback. Anything. A simple sketch can also be a proto. Okay. A role play can also be a proto if you are doing, if you are maybe trying to prototype something intangible. A role play can also be a prototype, right? So anything that can give a near to real feel to a user for them to interact and give feedback. Second, am I audible now? Someone will have to give me a yes. Good. Rough enough that we can throw it out and fast enough that we don't get emotional with it. One of the biggest problems with solutions or with ideas is that we get emotional with our ideas and it becomes really difficult for us to come out of them. So anything near to real, rough and fast is what are the principles that we will follow. Yes, Elisa. So again, as I mentioned, near to real feel, so that the user can interact and give feedback. Second, rough enough that we can throw it out, and fast enough so that we don't get emotional with it. Okay, these are the principles of prototyping. So anything that satisfy these principles can be a prototype. And slowly and steadily, as and when we test it, we learn from our users whether this will work or not for them. We will evolve it into a high fidelity prototype, which can be working models, which can be proof of concepts, which can be MVPs, and all those things can happen. Yes, Jen. So it's like showing a sample flat to a potential flat purchaser. That also is an evolved form of prototype. Yes, but that is a prototype. A simple sketch of a, maybe the lowest fidelity can be a simple sketch of a flat you showing to a user. That can be the first level of proto concept testing that you can do. So think about what stage you are in and accordingly decide what can be a good prototype for you guys, for you when you're working on your own problems or your own areas of work. Okay. Okay. Yes, I will do that right now. Let's just continue with this and you will create some of your protos as well. Let's do this. Okay. So the story for this one. Yes, people have already put it on the chat now. Good. So the story for prototyping. Now this organization is the stories of a bank and a contact center of a bank. Now, suddenly, so as in this bank expanded its operations, there was a lot of business that was coming in. So the contact center also expanded in terms of people working in the contact center and things, the service they were providing. So to cater to those concept or to the expansion, what this bank did was they hired a lot of newbies, which was freshers from college. I'm sure all of us would be doing that. They had a lot of freshers from college who were sent on calls to kind of address people's queries and provide customer service. Now, what suddenly happened was the NPS of this contact center started dropping. This is a net promoter score. You all understand net promoter score? Yes, the customer satisfaction score is what you can take it as. The NPS for the bank contact center started dropping. Now, think about it. Suppose, Rohit, you are a customer of a bank. In fact, it went on to an extent that the customers of the bank had formed an opinion about this contact center, that once you call this contact center, you will minimum need to make 3 calls to get your problem solved. First call you make, a newbie will take up the call. He will not have answers to your questions and they will just give you some mediocre response to just to move out of the situation. Second call, they are still the newbie, not giving you answers. And when you get irate and when you start shouting is when in the third call there's a senior veteran who will come in and they will find an answer to your question. Now think about it, Rohit. If you are a customer of such a bank, what will you do if this kind of experience happens? Simple. You will switch over. You will say that I have got too many options and I will do that. That's what started happening. They started losing business. When they did their empathy studies, what they figured out was here that this behavior, and in fact, it was a behavior challenge. This behavior of these newbies, so most of these calls, that challenge was with the newbie calls. This behavior of these newbies is not only to the customers, but internally also. Whenever they are in an internal situation also, and they do not know the answer of the question, they will give a mediocre response and just move out of the situation, right? Rather than saying, I don't know, and I will go figure out and come back. So the problem statement was for them, how do we or how might we design a culture of I don't know in the organization? Now started experiments. The first experiment was they installed these. So what they called was as the bat signal. So they installed these. You have seen these lights on VIP vehicles, teen ton, those kind of lights, right? They installed these lights across the entire floor in the contact center, and they said, you're a newbie or anyone, if you're facing a problem, you're on a call, you're facing a problem, and you do not know the answer, just put the button. The light will go up. Someone will come and will help you out immediately. Okay, a great experiment, innovative stuff, but did this solve the problem? Think about it. Tell me yes, no on the chat. No, Amit says no, 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 no. Good. You guys are smart guys. It did not solve the problem at all because the problem was, I don't know. And the issue was because these newbies felt that if I say I don't know, people will think I'm a fool and I don't know the answer. And till now, me and my manager knew that I don't know. If I put on the light, the entire floor will know that I don't know and I'm a fool, right? None of the lights ever went up. So it was a failure, but there was a learning. So the next thing, what they did, they picked up all these lights, installed it in a room, and they created a SWAT team. a SWAT team of these managers, veterans. They said, you are in a problem. You push the button, the light will go up in the room. No one else will know. There was someone from the SWAT team who will come and immediately help you. Okay, this was the second experiment that they did. Yes, successful? No. Yes, no. Solving the problem? Yes, no. Tell me. No. Rohit says no. No, 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 no. Okay, yes, because this is a third experiment. Yes, that did not work out. On the screen, yes, there is a third experiment as well. Yes, it did not work out. Reason behind, the lights went up, but the problem is either by choice or by mandate, the managers never, or the help never came in. The managers never reached out to them. So there was a failure. The whole culture never happened, right? But there was a learning. From this came the third experiment. The third experiment here was a bat chat, which was a chat system that they launched in the entire organization. If you have a problem, you put on the chat, someone else will help you. The real solution was not the chat system. The real solution was the initial few questions on the chat system were put in by the senior most people in the organization, saying that I don't know this. Can someone help me? I'm stuck here. Can someone help me? The message that went on to the entire organization was this system is safe. And I can say I don't know here, because if my senior is saying I don't know and he doesn't feel that he's a fool, that means I can also say here. And then became a big hit into the organization. And that was the successful solution that they launched to drive a culture of I don't know. The message for this story here for all of you is this. Sometimes no special analysis or research can predict what works. It's build, fail, iterate, repeat. And I'll again repeat, it's build, fail, iterate, repeat is the only way to find the right answer, which is about prototyping, testing, learning, and then evolving it further. So sometimes there will be no one who will be able to tell you that this is the right solution. You will have to go through this and figure out your answer. That is prototyping. So quickly, what we will do is, so certain ways to prototype. Someone was asking that if you can just tell us some pointers. Yes, there were some pointers that I said, but certain ways to prototype, say paper model, clay model, verbal announcement, storyboard, blueprint, digital mockup, layout, advertisement, role play, comic strip stories, and there can be many, many more ways, right? Remember, near to real, rough and fast are the principles, and there can be hundreds of ways to prototype stuff. You can figure out your own way of prototyping. Vidhu, is this similar to PDCA or DMAC? To an extent, broadly, if you look at it, broadly, yes, it's about figuring out the problem and then solving it and then going through experimentation and coming out with answer. However, it's more human centered. Like in DMAC, you're more data centered. This is more human centered, right? That's the difference. Second, second part of it is when you go through this entire prototyping cycle and you come out with your MVPs, again in DMAC, that's highly data centered. Here we are experiment centered. So there are differences broadly, but yes, it fits into that framework of PDCA or not even PDCA. You discover, you then ideate, you then prototype, test it out, and figure out what works and come out with it. Right. In fact, if you want to compare it with say DMAC, a better version of it to compare with it is DFSS, Design for Six Sigma. That will be a better version to compare it with rather than DMAC. Okay. Yes, Shetali. In fact, I have an entire article that I've written on this, how AI will help in design thinking. And the second one is how design thinking will help in AI. I have written articles on both of them. You can go and just search for it on our website as well. You will have a lot of articles around various spaces of design thinking, and you can figure it out from there, because this will be a shorter forum to kind of discuss this thing. Okay, let's go forward. So we go back to Emily. I'm sure we've not forgotten Emily. Maybe I'll give you 2 minutes. Whatever solution you had thought of, I'm giving you 2 minutes. Roughly sketch out what is your idea. Just roughly sketch it out. If you can, pick up a pen and paper and just sketch out your idea. Roughly. Whatever idea you had, pick up one of those ideas and sketch it out. Yes, cool. So I'm sure you are sketching out your ideas and you're figuring out what kind of protos can you build. But the thought is, as soon as you started to think about sketches, you were getting more clarity on what exactly are you trying to build or what exactly are you trying to propose. That was my purpose of making you think about sketching your idea. Good. Keep thinking about prototypes. With this, we are going to the fourth stage, which is evolve. And evolve, I'm just covering one part of it. I'll just take 2-3 more minutes, and then we will switch over to Unmesh to share his experiences around design thinking and implementing design thinking in various organizations. Uh, so this is about storytelling. As designers, I always say that you need to be good at storytelling, because with design comes innovation, with innovation comes change, with change comes resistance. And storytelling is a great way to help people embrace resistance, or to kind of kill resistance and embrace the change that they are looking at. So yes, storytelling is a big topic within itself, but let me just cover it in brief so that you can connect it with design thinking and you understand why am I saying that. So the question to all of you is, storytelling is about is all about boasting about your idea and about your product and service. Yes, true, false. False, 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 false. Good 1% true, but all falses. Amazing, guys. For people who are saying true, sorry, you're wrong again. This is false. It's not about boasting about your idea. It's about making your idea meaningful for your audience. That's what storytelling is all about. And I'll give an example for this. All of you just take 30 seconds and go through whatever you see here. On the screen, whatever you're seeing, just go through that. Sampurna is seeing it on two screens, right? On the phone as well as on the laptop. Good one. Yes. What did you see here? Anything? Any thoughts? So you say storytelling is all about boasting about your product or service, right? IKEA could have said that I have got these many products, ISI mark, this quality standard, that is there, this megapixel camera, all of this. But no, what did IKEA do here? They said, you just got married, your in-laws are visiting for the first time, and you want your home to be special because the first impression is the last impression, and you want to have a great impression on your in-laws. So, by the way, there's a page for that in the IKEA catalog, making it meaningful for yourself. Your son moves back, so your son has gone for engineering, and he's coming back, and he's called you that, hey Manjari, I'm coming back. Hey mom, sorry, not Manjari, Indian, right? So hey mom, I'm coming back, and by the way, I'm also having my wife coming along with me. I've already got married. Your home was always designed for a single couple, but today there's one more couple who's coming in, shifting in. You need a redesign. By the way, there's a page for that in the IKEA catalog. You're pregnant. You always wanted a child. You've always planned for that one child. You've going for your first sonography, and you figure out they're twins. While you're happy, but within you, you're thinking that I have planned for one child and everything around is planned for one child. I need something more. And there's a page for that in the IKEA catalog. That means we have solutions for that. And there are many more. So now think about it. Storytelling is not about boasting about your idea. It's about making your idea or your solution meaningful for the audience. It's about that. A great example of this is Apple. Think about it. If you've seen Apple ads if you've gone to airports and all, one is 20 megapixel camera, 30 megapixel camera, 50 megapixel camera. I mean, how does it even matter? Do you understand what megapixels do? We don't even understand. Or simply shooting a photo and saying that, by the way, this is shot on an iPhone, because that's what we are bothered about, right? So going back, when you're crafting your story, is the tool that we normally use is first define who's the hero of your story, and always the person whose life is going to change should be the hero of the story, rather than you, your organization, your product, your solution being the hero of the story. And we make this mistake a lot of times. I've seen a lot of investor pitches also, wherein people make the product or themselves or their team or their boss also sometimes the hero of the story. Remember, it's the person whose life is going to change, the user. He or she should be the hero of the story. Then describe the current challenge. What is your user going through? And in the story, I would have loved to tell you a story for this, but in the interest of time, I'm not telling you. And at a point in time when the user is at its peak of the challenges that they're going through, is when is in the storytelling world we call it as the climax point, and that's where you introduce the idea, which is a solution. and then make the users or the audience imagine the new life, that after using my solution, how is the world going to change for the user, and how is their life going to become amazing, how the employee is going to experience an amazing thing, and the business is going to get impacted. Okay, so let's do one thing for Emily itself. Let's quickly, if you can craft a one-line story for Emily for the idea or the solution that you had. Let's see how creative can you get. One-line story for Emily for the product or the idea that you had. Give her a cultural mentor. Your cultural mentor. A good one, Chan. Yes. Anyone else? Manjari is lost. Manjari, you can also give a one-line story for Emily. Okay, by the time, welcome to India family. Feel at home in India, helping you feel at home whenever you are here. Welcome to the second home. Yes, there can be many more ways. Keep them coming. Good one, guys. So quickly, just doing a recap of what is the journey that you've had. We understood face. We understood what is design thinking. So it's about explore, ideate, create, and evolve. Explore is about understanding human problems, human experiences, what humans are going through. Ideate is about trusting those radical ideas and building a culture of experimentation. Prototyping is all about sometimes there is no other way to find the right answer but build, fail, iterate, repeat. And evolve is all about crafting relevant stories around your design so that people can embrace those designs and love the experiences that you're creating for them. With this, if not anything else in this entire session that I have run before Unmesh starts, remember, just take this one principle back, guys. This is something that I have used all my life, and I firmly believe in this. Till now, I have lived this every day. Remember this: humans remember businesses that remember humans. Humans remember businesses that remember humans. So if you remember the human when you are designing it, they will remember you when you need them the most. If not anything else, if you've just embraced this one principle, you've already started design. With this, I invite Unmesh. Unmesh is a firm believer of design thinking, and this is something that I picked from him only. The true value of design is not in its thinking, rather in its doing. With this, I'll hand it over to Unmesh to share his experiences of how he has taken design to various organizations and helped them become better day by day. I'll just stop sharing, Unmesh.
Thank you very much, Ajay, and a good afternoon to everybody on a Saturday afternoon, and thank you for joining and coming online. I think Ajay and I have been partners at Design Thinking for a while, but my first foray or dabble with design thinking was way back, almost about a decade ago, when in one of my earlier organizations, I was the global recruiting director responsible for recruiting. And one of the challenge that was thrown to me is to say, how do we make an organization that hires about 100,000 people every year, how do you make the experience more meaningful for the prospective candidates that we're trying to bring in? And the fact that we have 5 different distinct businesses, how do we ensure that the experience is fit for purpose, right? In that organization, you had a consulting division, a strategy division, a digital division, a tech business, and an operations business or a BPO business. At 5 businesses, 5 distinct profile of people. And the approach around recruiting globally was pretty standard, right? To some degree, it was about large industrial volume hiring approach. And we realized we needed it to be distinct. So that was the first time, almost a decade ago, that working with a design studio that we'd acquired, I started to doing design sprints, and we recrafted our approach around talent acquisition. And one of the learnings or one of the genesis of that was a theme that I keep talking about, and potentially a lot of people have heard me talk about, is becoming high tech for high touch. Basically means, how do we ensure that we understand the personas of people that we are hiring in a way that we can bring as much technology in talent acquisition as possible, such that we can free up the hiring managers and the talent acquisition teams to really focus on enhancing the experience and really doing what they're supposed to do, which is evaluating and assessing and getting talent to the right place. So that was then. And I saw the benefits of that, right? I think, and from there, as I came into KPMG, and that's where Ajay and my paths intersected. And one of the things that we were coming into the organization, I was tasked, or we figured the need to potentially respond to, was to look at performance management and reinvent the performance management process. And one approach around that was to say, well, I know it all, and let's potentially go about making that happen. And the other one was to say, use that as a potential opportunity to revitalize the organization, both HR as a function and the organization, where design thinking hadn't necessarily seeped in or wasn't necessarily part of the culture. So the first thing that was done was to ensure that the entire HR team across the locations went through a design thinking workshop with Ajay, right? So everybody was trained on design thinking. And then what we ensured is that not only were people trained on design thinking, we identified problems that we needed to solve, right? Smaller problems that we needed to work and solve. And I think the intent was to get people to dabble and experience design thinking and really be able to implement design thinking as a way of life. And I think some 12 or 17 projects, I think 12 of them did see the day of light. But the interesting thing was that the HR team was now well oriented and appreciative of the impact of design thinking. And once that was established, I think the next journey was to say, okay, now let's embrace the bigger problem of solving for for performance management. And we did the whole exercise around reinventing performance management there, using design thinking, using design sprints with business, with architecting different personas. And I think what I like to believe is we solved for some of the challenges that we were experiencing through the performance management process, why performance management wasn't working, because we did a good job of defining personas, building empathy with our employees, different stakeholder sets, both the feedback givers, feedback receivers. I think went a long way. In my mind, I think as I reflect on this, and I'm sure today we have HR leaders across organizations, I think the realization is that the customer base or the talent base that you are supporting today, much as all of you like to believe they are one organization, therefore they're all similar, the challenge is there are different personas and archetypes in your organization. What the archetype of the HR team is different to the archetype of the finance team. The archetype of your engineering team is very different to the archetype of your sales professionals. What the archetype of your sales professionals is very different to what you have on the manufacturing shop floor. And therefore, building appreciation for what that persona or archetype is, and then solving for that through your HR processes is important. And that's where design thinking comes into play. So today, when any of my team member is working on a project or a design on something, and they come to me to say, hey, in my business, I'm trying to do this and this program we want to launch. And the first question I ask is, talk to me about the persona, talk to me about the archetype, and then respond to me how what you're designing for is solving for the persona or the archetype. And I think that's a very powerful question, because it forces us to ensure that we are designing something that will be responsive, that would have a greater uptake with the talent base that you're supporting, and doesn't then become one of those things where, oh, it's another flavor of the season, HR is coming up with something new, these HR people need to keep adding value to their lives and have something on their own performance track, and therefore just creating another program to be able to support it, right? So I think that's what my learning is. I feel that because you have distinct personas, what COVID and hybrid has done is has made it further more complex, right? Same roles, people who are in hybrid mode or people who have chosen within hybrid to be more work from home. I think appreciating what they're going through, solving for that. I think every HR process today potentially needs that little bit more stretch and thinking as we craft it, implement it, and ensure that it's something that people see value out of and is impactful from a business standpoint. So I'm going to pause Ajay, if there are specific questions or specific thoughts that the group has, happy to respond to that. But um, that's been my learning. I think there were failures. There were failures because not everybody in the organization will get as excited about design thinking as you are. And I think somewhere it's important to create a movement around design thinking. And once people see the value of it, and the easiest way to make it valuable is when you're crafting and changing some of your HR programs or processes, use cross-functional teams, get business involved, get employees involved in it. And that's when people and some of your key leaders experience the power of design thinking. Then it becomes very easy for you to then push for it. And I think one of the things that Ajay and I did is in the early organization that we worked together, we made sure that design thinking was part of the standard learning journeys for everybody, right? So I think there's huge power in the power of design thinking. And I'm sure most of your organizations, when you're solving for your clients, are potentially using design thinking. So on that note, I'm going to pause, look for specific questions, and we could go from there, knowing well that we're potentially a couple of minutes away from tea time.
So I think just to mention this, I remember the performance management experiment that we did at the previous organization. And one of the things that I still remember is we moved from static goals, we moved to agile goals. That was one of the principles that we did. And the amazing experience was that once the new performance cycle was launched and people had to fill up their goals, they filled it up on the system and they were all trying to find submit button. That where is the submit button where I can submit my goals? And we were like, there's no submission because they're agile goals. You can change the goals anytime you want to and make them relevant to your project that you're working on. And so there was not only change in the process, but it was a fundamental change on how do you look at goals and how do you look at the entire way of performance management and performance development. I mean, that was a great story that happened there. Happy to take questions, guys. Anything if there are. Arundhati, you want to take this over from here?
Yeah, I think Ajay, you could go ahead with so anybody, any questions, you can please ask Ajay or Unmesh. And we're going to have a small poll as well. So by the time you frame your questions, you could answer the poll, please. Thank you.
I think Madhurita has asked one. I am an L&D head. How can I connect if I have to conduct a session on the same? So Madhurita, number one, I think you can connect with an HRDN, Pune chapter, and through them you can reach out so that we can do it together. So that's and maybe Dipen can be the right person for you. Dipen, if you can just get in touch with Madhurita. Arundhati, I will launch that's okay, fine. Can you share some memorable impacts created with your clients? Shivraj, we just shared one in HR. There are many, in fact. We have done at least 8 projects right now around DEI, around offer drops. So an organization facing 40% offer drops. We are working on that as a project. We have worked on retention. So the Gen Z, how can we craft experiences to retain them? There are many, in fact. There are many. So one I've just shared with Unmesh that I told the story about how we moved to agile goals and how people were kind of facing a challenge, and fundamentally it was about agile goals. I'll give this to Unmesh. Unmesh, one question is how design thinking can help you manage biases if working in a group.
And I think great question. I think, and I was just going to state that, right? If you guys are really wanting to do something in HR, look at your employee handbook and look at the language of the employee handbook, right? And if you were to not be HR and you were to experience your employee handbook as a recipient for the first time, will that employee handbook seem like an employee handbook which is meant for employees? Or will the employee handbook sound like or feel like the voice of the organization and the quote unquote management team, right? And if that's what your employee handbook is, then I'm sorry to say we as people leaders have failed to be good people evangelists and people champions. So the first place to start that is to relook at your employee handbook and recraft that. And to recraft your employee handbook, what you need to do is to understand the personas, because today you have almost 4 to 5 generations in your workforce. So how do you ensure that you understand the 5 generations well, and your employee handbook is synergistic enough to be able to respond to the 5 different needs of the organization, right? So I think that's where it is. I think, so therefore, when you solve for that, the chances are you'll solve for biases through design thinking, right? I think, and I'm sure Ajay has done a lot of work around D&I, as he talked about. But I think one of the big elements of DI and being able to drive synergy within the organization and belonging within the organization is respecting and seeing how each of the segments add value to each other. And how do you facilitate a dialogue between different generations in the organization? And then when both parties or different parties see where they are coming from on a similar issue, then there is appreciation for that. And then that kind of creates an environment where people give to get in the process, right? So, well, it's clearly very, very impactful when you can do things like that using, and I think the premise is very clear. Think about persona, think about archetype, think about empathy, and then try and design from that perspective. You will see a lot of value.
Thanks, Mish. So I think it's about focusing on the user. That's how you will manage your biases. Focusing on the persona. Okay, good. How do we use design thinking to create a collaborative workplace? So, Roger, I think I'll just take that one. The fundamental principle, and in fact, Unmesh mentioned that in our previous organization also, when we were working on the performance management, who were there a part of the core design team? They were not only HR guys. There were HR people. There were people from business. There were people from all categories of business. So they were ICs. There were managers, there were partners or leaders also participating into it. So we worked in cross-functional teams. It was not about an HR team designing something and going back to them, say use this is the new way. No. So that's how you make it more collaborative when you're getting your customers or your employees become a part of the design process or the design journey itself. So I think it starts from there, and then slowly and steadily, once you see more and more people becoming a part of it or becoming a part of the design journey itself, you will see the buy-in of people is higher. And when the buy-in of people is higher, the collaboration towards implementing it also increases slowly and steadily. So I think it's one of the fundamental principles, and that's where we start from. So we never say that when you're designing anything, you need to have your customers to become a part of the design process, and that's how you make it collaborative. Amit is asking, is design thinking needs to be top-down approach? So I'll put this to Unmesh. Unmesh being a leader, so he should be telling us this.
No, I think very clearly, I think design thinking needs to be a top-down approach where as a CHRO, you need to create excitement on the leadership team with this, because otherwise this will become one of those multiple things you tried and did not gain roots. And I think it's important to make it top-down by virtue of sponsorship, but by virtue of implementation, it needs to be as synergistic across the organization as possible. One thing I'd like to say, do not make design thinking boring. Design sprints are a lot of fun. And खेलते खेलते हंसते हंसते बहुत कुछ accomplish हो जाता है. I think that's what design thinking does, right? So I've been a master trainer of lateral thinking way back 20-25 years since. And lateral thinking to some degree was a bit rigorous for people. Design thinking is more fun, and I think ensure that you keep it fun, and people don't even realize the impact of what they've created in that fun.
Yes, thanks, Unmesh. And I think you've also touched upon the next one, which is how design thinking differs from lateral thinking and creative thinking. So I'll just add on to what Unmesh mentioned. One major element of design thinking is human empathy, which I think a lot of times in typical creative thinking or lateral thinking exercises is missing. So it's about when you really understand that you're solving for a purpose and you're solving for something that is really going to add value to human life or people in the organization or someone, that's where the whole drive towards designing also increases, or your lateral thinking and creative thinking gets a purpose to solving. Second, I think, as I said, because there's a lot of human touch involved into this, it becomes more fun. And serious problems being solved in fun is something that I look at it normally. So yeah, that's the best way that we can address this. Thanks, Adir. Any other questions, guys? Okay, if no, over to you, Arundhati, if you can just do the closure remarks and we can close it.
Sure. Thank you so much. I think I'll hand over the baton to Deepan for the vote of thanks. It was a wonderful session, Ajay and Unmesh. Thank you so much. Deepan, over to you.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone, and thanks for staying online. First of all, to all the participants. Ajay, it's always been a pleasure to be in your class everywhere, and with the charisma that you bring in, I think it's the subject becomes simply very easy. Unmesh, thanks for making time for this. My first interaction with you, but I've heard a lot about you from not just from Ajay, but from other folks who have been around. So thanks for making time for this one. It's immensely beneficial. Aman sir, thank you to you as well for making this happen. And of course, Arundhati, as always, you are the anchor for all of us.
Thank you, everyone. So I think we'll end this. Bye-bye. Take care. Have a nice
Thank you
day
very
alive
much.
ahead.
This
Happy
Thanks, Unmesh, once
weekend.
again.
Stay safe, everybody. Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Thanks.
have a good, wonderful weekend.
Everybody. Bye.
आपको भी
Abhishek.